Now, in this workshop, I'm gonna walk you through how you can use Moorcheh for your hackathon project and how you can utilize and leverage the most of the Moorcheh and then build your hackathon project on top of it. Let me share the screen and we'll give the brief about what Moorcheh is about. Moorcheh is a vector store, but I'll like you through the think of it one problem and then I'll explain the application how Moorcheh can be useful to solve that problem. How many of you have worked with an LLM? Great. So most of you, when we are working with an LLM, so we all know that it has a limited context window. Either it's 128K, 200K, or a 1 million, but still it's limited. Now assume you want to have the longer conversation, more than the 1 million context window. So once you hit the first message, and by the time you reach to the limit of the context window, it does not really have the meaning what this conversation is all about and where it's going. That's where the Moorcheh comes into the play. What Moorcheh does is when you talk with an LLM, so there is a crucial part managing the context for your conversation. So Moorcheh does it by default. For Moorcheh provide a service over there which you can store your data into the Moorcheh AI, and then when you talk with an LLM, give the context between the query. So in that way, you do not really have to worry about the context, and you can just go on and on with the Moorcheh, and does not really worry about the how the context window work. You can work statelessly with an LLM. So now let's jump into that how you can leverage Moorcheh, and we'll just gonna go through how you can make use of a chat boilerplate and build your own application. Let me just bring the CMD first. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm simply gonna follow this instruction that is given over here and see how easy it is to use Moorcheh and build your application, especially for the hackathon kind of environment. Wait for wanna initialize the GitHub repo. Yes. Okay. Since now, let me go to the project. Do npm install. While it's running the npm install, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the Moorcheh AI and then get the API key and we'll configure the API key, then we'll start the server. So let's go to the console. And in order to go to the console, you can just go from the docs as well. Or if you go to the console.moorcheh.ai, it will lead you to that. And since I already have an account, I'll just gonna go log in. And if you don't have an account, so if you want, I can wait for 1 or 2 minutes for all of you to create an account. So we'll make sure that we all are on the same page and then we can continue with that. Okay, so let's since we have the account, let's go into that. And I would like to give the brief about the dashboard and how you can manage and what the namespace, what is playground, and what is API key is about. So first thing I want to go through is a namespace. Namespace is an isolation environment for your app for your user level. Let's say I have a user called Neil, and I want to isolate my most of the data. I have a data in one healthcare field, one lawyer field, and one another industry. I want to isolate all of that. So that's where the namespace come into the play. You can create a namespace. The whole thing is isolated on its own environment. And we have two types of namespace. One is a text base, another one is a vector base. So text base is you can implement the raw text and we'll take care of the embedding, and you do not need to worry about if you upload a file, we'll do take care of the chunking, and we do take care of the embedding. If you want to use the external embedding, I would recommend to use the vector namespace and select the dimension according to the embedding model. Now, once we create a namespace, we're gonna implement the data in it. Let's create a namespace. I'm gonna go with the text-based namespace because if you wanna run the LLM with Moorcheh in it, you can create with a vector, but I would prefer you can go with a vector, but there might be like a little more configuration. You need to add a text in a metadata. But since we're gonna go with a text base, so let's just create a namespace and let's wait. Since we do not have any chunks, You can upload a text from over here, or you can just directly upload a document. I'm just gonna upload one document over here. Okay, so I'm uploading Moorcheh doc txt and then see how it works. We'll probably need to wait for a couple of seconds only to do the chunking, and then we'll need, it has already created chunk and also does the embedding for you in less than a 5 second. So now we have isolate our data and environment. We have uploaded our data into our environment. Now we're gonna go to the playground and see how we can use that. First thing is we just wanna select the namespace that we just created, Gen AI demo, and I'm gonna give you the brief about here. You can manage the chat for your. You can manage your entire chat. Let me just close this one. Yeah, and here is the document. Close this one as well. Now here comes the crucial part. We have the several LLM model available. You can choose any one of it, and as per your requirement, I just gonna go for the DeepSeek R1, and this is the temperature for the LLM model, whatever you wanna set. I would say go set about 0.7. For the top K, you can select the. I'll explain what the top K is and relevance score, header and footer. In header prompt, you you can define literally anything how you want to behave for an agent. Let's say we are building an agent, then we just need to define the prompt that we want, how our LLM should behave. So let's just go to any platform. I'm gonna go to the Grok, and then we'll take the header and footer prompt for the specific use case. I will say I want to build customer support bot. Give me header and footer prompt for LLM. So I'll just say that you can do more research on it, and you can tailor this header and footer prompt according to your need. I'm just gonna go copy this prompt. Since we do not need a user input, Moorcheh taking care of that. We just put over there, and let's just copy the footer prompt. This is the by default prompt Moorcheh provide, but you can modify that. We have, let's save the setting. Again, now I'm gonna go ahead and explain you the top K and the relevance. What does this top K mean actually? So when you run the LLM model using Moorcheh, so we before running the LLM model with your data, what we do is we do the semantic search on your uploaded document. So when we do the semantic search, you we probably see that your document have a 8 number of chunk. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna run the semantic query in behind the scene, and then once we get the chunk, we're gonna feed it to the LLM, and LLM will give us the answer according to our context and according to our whatever the prompt that we have defined in header and footer, and will take care of the chunk that it's gonna get from your namespace. So you can set the number of results that you want to take in that query. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the 15 over here, and once you do that, let's go to the relevance, and I'm gonna see if you want to see the relevance chunk, that what are the chunks that LLM model use to answer your question. You can select that, or if you don't want to see that, you can just disable that. Kiosk mode is a mode which allow you to eliminate a certain chunk which is not relevant to a query. I'm gonna explain. Imagine the scenario. You have a one namespace, and you wanna have the different document which is not directly related to each other, but you know which query is related to which document. So if you wanna separate that, I would say you can turn on the kiosk mode and set the threshold accordingly. It will eliminate the irrelevant document for you by default below the certain threshold. I'm gonna keep it off since I do not have a large document. So let's save the setting, and I'm gonna ask about what is Moorcheh. Since we had uploaded a Moorcheh documentation, and we have defined the customer support application. I want help in Moorcheh AI. It's a random question. Let's just say what does it mean? Could clarify what kind of assistance. See, it does give me the documentation link, GitHub example, if any error that I got. Okay, we can ask since we have the customer support. Okay, I want to upload data into my tax namespace. It says that upload install pip install Moorcheh SDK, then initialize the client, and this it gives me the format that I should use to upload a data. ID, text, and metadata is optional, and all those kind of things. It also gives me the example for the Python SDK. So it's working correctly as expected. Now let's move back to the chat boilerplate that we are creating. Now, in order to, since we have created a kind of a customer support agent over here, but we want to have our own, like you do not want your customer to relocate in a Moorcheh dashboard that go over there and just use that. So that's the obvious thing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the API key and I'm gonna delete this one. Let's create a new one. When you play with the API key, you need to be little bit extra careful. You do not need to share the API key with anyone, and this is a one-time API key. Make sure that you copy it and save it in a secure place. Now, since I'm using the cursor, I'm gonna open my IDE and then I'm gonna configure the API key. Then we're gonna start the server, and I'm gonna walk you through how you can configure the UI and use this exact board that we have created and build the application on top of that. Okay, it has opened up the cursor ID, and let's just get rid of this notification. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and create an .env file. Let's go to the readme and see what exact readme I need to have. This is a key for the readme. I'm gonna paste my API key that I just get from the Moorcheh. Okay, once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead, open up a new terminal, and there is one more setting for the appearance of your chat boilerplate. Because you do not want a rough boilerplate or natural, like a simple page for your application. Let's go to the playground, and if you go over here on customize your appearance, so this will lead you to the this page. You can upload a logo that you want, select the theme. I'm gonna go ahead and select the blue, select the font, heading font, and then once you do that, you can customize as per your application. It's not a hard thing. Once you do that, you're gonna go ahead and download this config file. It will download the appearance.json, and we're gonna use that appearance.json into the GenAI Genesis demo, and you can directly save into the configurance. Yes, I want to replace with that one. Okay, I replace that, but you can do anything you want to, and it use the namespace API config.json. This is the appearance.json. Now the main thing is we have to download another JSON file, which is API config.json. I'm gonna download and save it into the config folder. So it has this namespace, but I do not really want this namespace. I'm gonna go select the GenAI Genesis demo and download it again. I'm gonna say place this one. Once you do that, let's open up the terminal and let me run the server. Okay, so congratulations, your chatbot is ready and you have just made an application using Next.js, ChatC and UI, and so many different things which you do not need to worry about, because you just want to focus on your application on a app, like a core thing of your application. Do not need to worry about UI or how to set up. So here I'm gonna ask the same question. I help me use Moorcheh in my, and I'm gonna hit enter. See, it just give me all the data that I need. Go to the console, create account, API key, do the basic setup, upload retrieval, and generate answer. It's as simple as that, and you can configure the rest of the thing and like top and top K and all those kind of things into the API config over here. Okay, that's the demo for the Moorcheh AI application. Now, if you want to deploy, you can deploy and play around with that. But I'm just gonna go towards the about the challenge and how you can leverage Moorcheh. So another thing is, this is a one example how you can leverage Moorcheh, how you can use it in your application, and you just don't want to use chat boilerplate every time. But I just showed you how easy it is to create an anything with the Moorcheh. Create an API key, use that, see the SDK, see the documentation, and then you're good to go. Now, if you want to use our SDK to build your application, you are using Moorcheh, so you can do that. If you wanna, if you have the PDF or a certain kind of document that you want to read in your application, go check out our official integration with the LangChain, and we have also integration with the Llama index if you want to use that. And these are MCP is a really crucial one if you are using the cursor ID or codex or what else, cloud code and other IDs that you want to use while making your project. So MCP comes really handy in that thing. You just need to download the MCP doc introduction. Let's go to the setup. Just need to download that according to your ID, and then once you do the setup, then it's really handy that if you want to list down your namespace, if you want to create your namespace, you can just create it from there, and you can just simply focus on how you want to upload your data and how to retrieve your data and how you want to implement Moorcheh in your application. It will be really handy for that. So that's there. And another thing we have is our credit and support. So when you log in and create an account with Moorcheh, so we by default give you the $50 credit, $500 credit, and in that you can pretty much do most of the thing regarding the hackathon project. You can create five namespace in total, I believe, and you can create up to three API key, and you will find a more about how the credit system work on our pricing page. But if you reach any limit while making your hackathon project, just ping us on the Discord. We have a Discord link over here. I'm gonna share it after the workshop. So, or we already have a Discord for the Gen AI hackathon. You can just ping me onto the Moorcheh AI channel, and then we'll take it from there. And just share your email ID that we can give you the pro access or the more credit for your hackathon